The Stone Man is a nickname for one of India's most notorious and mysterious serial killers, whose true identity still remains a riddle. Between 1985 and 1988, at least 12 homeless people were murdered while they were sleeping on the streets of Bombay, with their heads brutally crushed by a 30 kilograms boulder. By 1989, a similar series of killings emerged in Calcutta, claiming at least 13 lives in a fashion mirroring the Bombay murders. While investigators have speculated that the crimes across both cities might be the work of the same perpetrator, there is no solid evidence to back up this claim. The killing pattern was straightforward but terrifying. The killer targeted solitary pavement dwellers, typically during the late hours of night or early morning, leaving the victims unidentifiable, as these people had no known associates who could come and identify them. Between 1985 and 1988, a disturbing pattern emerged with 12 identical murders reported. Over these 3 years, the Mumbai police uncovered 12 homicides, but despite their best efforts, the perpetrator remained at large. Then, in 1988, as suddenly as they began, the murders ceased. Yet, the silence was short-lived. By the summer of 1989, Calcutta witnessed a hauntingly familiar scenario with another 12 individuals murdered in the exact same manner. Even with rigorous investigations, the identity of this nefarious criminal remained a mystery. The terror did not end there, however. In February 2009, a similar modus operandi resurfaced in Guwahati, Assam, and once again in other parts of Assam in 2016. Still, the elusive murderer, dubbed Stone Man, left no trace of their identity. The identity and whereabouts of the notorious Stoneman remain unknown to this day. Multiple investigations and relentless efforts by the police have yet to reveal any substantial leads about this remorseless killer. However, in a 2016 case in Gujarat, a murderer employing similar tactics was apprehended. Then, in September 2022, a breakthrough occurred when Shiv Prasad Durve, a 19-year-old, was arrested in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, for the murders of several watchmen. With the aid of a cyber cell, the young perpetrator was found to have been influenced by social media, using hammers and stones in his violent spree, ending the lives of 4 watchmen. Even though these murderers operated in a similar fashion, the haunting question still remains. Who was or is the Stone Man? Raman Raghav, infamously referred to as the Jack the Ripper of India, stands as one of India's most chilling serial killers. Unlike most people in extreme poverty who might beg for alms when left without food or money, Raghav took a more sinister route, killing at least 40 individuals, primarily slum dwellers, over 3 years. Born in 1929 in Tirunelveli, India, Raghav, who went by numerous aliases like Sindhi Dalwai, Psycho Raman, Veluswamy, among others, began his reign of terror in the 1960s. Claiming divine messages instructed him to kill, he primarily targeted beggars, homeless individuals, and even children. His murders, carried out brutally with a baton or other blunt instruments, took place mostly along Mumbai's central railway tracks. His atrocities weren't just limited to random slum dwellers. He has also confessed to the rape and murder of his own sister. He primarily targeted the extremely poor in society, and his violent outbursts saw no pattern, making it difficult for authorities to predict his next move. He left behind trails of victims, men, women, and even children, with smashed skulls and broken jaws, instilling extreme terror throughout the city and its people in the 1960s. Despite the fear he invoked, Raghav evaded the police throughout 1968. Only when IPS officer Ramakant Kulkarni took over the case did a significant breakthrough occur. In a bid to ensure public safety, nearly 2,000 officers were ordered to patrol the city. Luck favored the police one day when Sub-Inspector Alex Fialho, during his routine patrol, coincidentally noticed a man with a blood-stained shirt and muddy shoes. He was arrested and fingerprinted. His fingerprints matched those found at the murder scene, linking him to his heinous acts. Raghav's subsequent confession revealed his involvement in numerous other killings, many of which were located near a municipal water pipeline. Although he had confessed and was in police custody, he was surprisingly released due to insufficient evidence against him, giving him the chance to continue his crimes. The police eventually caught up to him, and upon capture, Raghav guided the police across the city, pointing out his crime scenes and the hidden rod he used as a weapon. Originally sentenced to death, his verdict was changed to life imprisonment after medical professionals deemed him incurable of his mental afflictions. He spent his days at the Central Institute of Mental Health and Research, ultimately passing away in 1995 due to kidney failure while being incarcerated. Gauri Shankar, colloquially known as Auto Shankar, was a prominent Indian criminal, serial killer, and gangster active in Chennai during the 1970s and 1980s. Originating from Tamil Nadu, he was known by several aliases: Auto Driver, Auto Shankar, Conspirator, and The Womanizer. Born on January 21, 1954, in Kangayanallur, in District Vellore in Tamil Nadu, to a Malayali father and a Tamil mother, Shankar's descent into crime can be traced back to his youth, marked by family upheaval and early exposure to substance abuse. He relocated to Madras, now known as Chennai, at 17, and began his livelihood peddling a cycle rickshaw and subsequently an auto rickshaw, earning him the moniker Auto Shankar. Thiruvanmiyur, where he later settled, became notoriously well known for criminal activity at the time. Initially involved in smuggling illegal liquor, Shankar transitioned to more lucrative ventures like prostitution. This resulted in him having strong ties with politically influential people, which made it easier to keep the local police in check. He and his gang, which included Shivaji and Eldon, handled rivals either through the police force or by killing them. Operating primarily during the construction of a highway in Tamil Nadu, the East Coast Road, Shankar's criminal empire thrived in areas relatively unchecked by the police. He engaged in smuggling liquor into Madras and soon tapped into the burgeoning sex trade in Mahabalipuram. He not only transported sex workers but eventually established his own brothels in Thiruvanmiyur. To consolidate power and blackmail influential clients, he maintained incriminating videotapes of their encounters. After all this, ironically, a love affair became his undoing, when his beloved Lalitha eloped with one of his friends. Shankar, in a fit of rage, murdered both of them. He buried Lalitha in Periyar Nagar and discarded his friend's ashes into the Bay of Bengal. This marked the onset of a series of murders. By the late 1980s, his infamy peaked. In 1987, the discovery of one victim set off an alarm. From 1988 to 1989, along with his accomplices, he was responsible for multiple murders, including those of several teenagers. He admitted later that cinema's influence nudged him towards crime. In a particularly heinous incident in 1988, after a dispute with rival gang members who disagreed to pay, after using one of his women, he lured them to his place, brutally murdered them, and buried their bodies. One of the murdered victims' wives lodged a missing person complaint with the local police station. However, after facing persistent inaction from the police, she sought media intervention, leading to an article suggesting a potential murder. This prompted an inquiry by the police inspector general, which led to Shankar being arrested. When interrogated, Shankar confessed to the murders. In a cinematic twist, he escaped police custody in 1990 but was recaptured. Tried at the Chengalpattu Sessions Court, he, along with Eldon and Shivaji, was sentenced to death on May 31, 1991 under Section 300, murder, of the Indian Penal Code, by the Sessions judge. He made an attempt to escape while in custody but was recaptured soon after, and he was eventually executed on April 27, 1995, at Salem's Central Prison.